So we're talking about the recent bill that has been passed in Costa Rica, which we're traveling.
Whoa.
So let's get in
I
an
love
airplane. We're
Amazing
going to Costa
Race.
Rica. Everybody, everybody on me. We're going we're going to Costa Rica. No, but this bill was about remote work, and the crux of it is basically the government wanted to empower remote workers in Costa Rica by working with companies there to incentivize essentially and legalize the ability for them to take on remote workers, regulate the kind of experience that remote workers have. So it does include the way that they're paid, the demands on their hours, just kind of the way that companies handle remote work. So there's some labor law that's happening there. But I'm not so much concerned about the policy behind the law as what this says for the people that live there, and then what it could say for the people that live everywhere across the globe who do want to work remotely or who already do. So, my kind of reason for wanting to talk about this, I guess, is just that so few government bodies and just sort of countries and country representation has talked about remote work. And I think that a lot of people think of it as okay, maybe it's productive for some people, maybe it's cheaper for some companies, and that's nice, but it's not
Hmm.
that important. Why are we making laws about this? Why does this matter so much? And I have a long laundry list of reasons why it does.
Love
so
it.
um, that's kind of what I'd like to get into. So yeah, I mean the essence of this law too was to help invest in their small towns and in their rural areas or remote areas as opposed to just basically having any kind of commerce and corporate
Hmm.
structure in cities and in their kind of chief metropolitan area. And so there are a few stats that I kind of want to share, and this is not going to be
Do you
boring
have note
because
cards?
it's me.
Have you
Um,
prepared note cards?
well,
That's
I've post-its. I
that's
have pink
that's
post-its.
like a note card.
Okay. Yes. Well, yeah, because I can't memorize statistics. Okay. So one of the interesting ones, I think, is when it comes to the commute and the things that they're trying to do to reduce carbon emissions, to reduce their impact on the environment, as well as things like infrastructure damage to roads, things like stress during the commute, things like wrecks, things that happen when not only is everybody driving to work, but they're driving to work that's in
Sure.
the same
That's
place.
it's so much more
Because the
concentrated.
urban
I saw a
environment there
really
is,
interesting, and I'm sure if you were even
yeah,
just Google this, if you're listening, like some really cool infographics of like New York City population by hour, and it's just like
yeah,
like it goes like it just skyrockets
yeah,
during the day, and then just it's like you can literally see the traffic kind of coming in and out. It was crazy.
yep. Yeah, and so some of the statistics were really kind of harrowing but interesting. They said that if even half the workforce that they expected would be qualified by the types of jobs they do to do remote work,
Hmm.
who don't already, if even half of the people they assumed could switch to
Got
remote
it.
work did, they would see 24,000 fewer vehicles in their metropolitan, area and on those commute roads, as well as a reduction of 48 million liters of
Wow, that's
fuel being
crazy.
used, as well as 28,000 tons of carbon dioxide being reduced, from being put into the atmosphere. And that's, like I said, before we even get into road conditions, before we even get into collisions and safety and those kinds of things. That's remarkable. And that's just
Yeah.
Costa Rica.
I
That's
mean,
just one
think
country.
about that
So,
comparatively, right? I mean, that just it's crazy.
exactly. Yeah. And for this country to make a statement like that, and Costa Rica has been kind of pioneering several things in the workforce space, but for them to make a statement like this at the governmental level, it sends a signal boost to other nations. And I hope it sends a signal boost to ours because this is something that's super important. And it's not a soapbox thing. There's a lot of other reasons why this matters outside of the climate and those kinds of things. We talk
And
about
maybe you're going to
inclusivity at
talk
work
about this,
and the
but
ability
like the one
for,
thing I just wanted to bring up was
yeah,
like the false stigmas of the work from home, the remote work too, right? I think that There's
Well,
a
yeah.
lot to that as far as like, oh, people goof off or do less work. I'm gonna tell you, like, since starting Tricycle Creative, while I do a lot of work at our clients, at other places, a bulk of my work is done from home. I've never worked harder.
No, no. Well, and they talk about the product you're happier, to be in your environment that's suited to you, not only because you're able to create the ergonomic and sort of atmospheric situation that works for you in your home or in your co-working space, but also because, there's kind of an autonomy then to your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to, if I get ill, I don't have to worry if I'm going to miss out on a paycheck that I can't afford to miss because I have to take so many days
Yeah.
off of work. I just, unless I'm truly just down
Yeah.
for the count. There's just so many instances where I probably work longer hours and I'm probably more focused because I'm not being inundated by an atmosphere that's changing and that's
Yep.
interrupting me and that
Totally.
kind of thing
I
too.
think the one piece that I do
Yeah.
struggle with there is, you know this, having actually worked with me at another entity and then working together with Tricycle.
Yes.
I do. I don't see complete lack of value in having people together, right? I don't throw the baby out with the
No.
bathwater in that way, because there's a lot of things that I feel very strongly that I think there's a lot of almost intangible stuff that gets built by having everyone together in the same room
Yep.
to get to know each other, to get to work together, to get to, you know, just interact, and I know that part of that can be
Yes.
done through video, but I don't feel like video is the cure all for that. I don't think it's necessarily the same. I think it helps,
It's not.
but it doesn't fix it all. So part of the, I think, a strategy of implementing a remote workforce policy is, I think, also taking into consideration that, and how do you strategically and impactfully find ways to bring people together, not only
Yep.
maybe in non-work scenarios but in work scenarios also, you know.
Totally. Totally. Well, and I've done some employer branding type of work with clients and stuff where we talk about people management and remote work and how they can virtualize or how they can de-virtualize if they're a fully remote
Yeah.
company. So it's interesting that the ones fully remote want that and the ones that are fully in office want the opposite. So I think we're going to need a high case scenario, but I do think that there's some interesting ways to kind of hack around that if you are a fully remote agency, for example, to, you know, have a workshop time, even if it's quarterly, where everybody gets together
Yep.
somewhere. Even if you're all over the globe, if you're saving tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in overhead for some fancy office that's not
Yeah.
necessary, then you can afford to send your people somewhere way better for a condensed amount of time where they're ready to
Yeah.
be there together, where they're excited to come together and focus, as opposed to being absolutely sick of
Yeah.
seeing each other. And I think that's a
I think
better
it's about
plan.
being purposeful with any of that stuff, right? And it's funny that you say like the ones,
Totally.
it's not only grass is always greener, but like my first career and world really was revolved around radio. And I always found that everyone in radio, maybe case in point to the fact that we're doing a live stream right now, everyone in radio wanted to be in video. And everyone in video
Yeah.
wanted to do radio. Everyone wants what they can't have,
Yeah.
right? And so it's funny
Hmm.
that you say that related even to the how workforce is managed and dealt with, from this
Yeah.
remote workers law. So has this law gone into place? Do you know if it's, or is it like approved to go into place like in the new year?
I believe it's gone into place. I'm not as up on how Costa Rican law
What?
works, so
I
it's not
brought
quite the
you
same
on
as
this
I know.
show because I was on your LinkedIn page. It said that you were a specialist in Costa Rican workplace law. And now to learn
Yeah,
this on the last subject of the show
the
is
actual
really
title.
a slap in the face. This is
I know. The actual title is Costa Rican labor law
Whoa.
ninja
Well,
guru.
but that you are. That
And
is that's
yes,
different. That's more of a
oh, totally.
subsection
Yeah, that's different.
of
More of like an ideas
ah
guy of
a
labor
an
law in
ideas
Costa
an
Rica, if you
ideas guy
will.
when it comes to labor law. Wow.
Costa
Oh,
Rican
sorry.
labor law only, though, of course.
Costa Rican labor law.
No, but it's interesting. I am less concerned about what happens until kind of this gets off the ground. I'm interested in how the companies will
Yeah.
respond. So, you
Yeah.
know, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing because I think that when you do something like this, you're also going to have some pushback. You're going to have companies that are like, well, we don't want to do that,
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reasons. And when you have people pushing back and going, well, I want to live in this other area, either because I have to, or because that's where I
Yeah.
want my kids to go to school, or for all these different reasons. But I'm still a talented person and I still want to work in, with your company. So you have kind of a push and pull there that I think if we were to adopt this in the US, something like, the right kind of tax stipend for companies who are
Yeah.
fully remote,
Yeah.
or the right kind of incentive is going to be there.
That's
And
smart. I
that's
like
something
that.
that I really want to sink
So
my
let me
teeth
ask you
into. Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me
Because
ask
we're
you
going to
this
need,
also kind of in I think also it solves a lot of workforce problems, a lot of the maturing and evolving of industries and I mean, how long have we talked? How many presidential elections do we have to go through talking about coal? Like, can we enough? I know I don't talk a lot of politics, but it's
yeah,
like, can we enough already? I get it. I know that
right.
people do that, but for the love of God, like there's skill sets to be evolved
Well, and I
there,
think
and
that's just,
and so it's just like some of these
yes.
industries are going to go away. Even looking at
Yeah.
retail, those things are going away,
Yep.
and there's other things that can fill
Yep.
it, that can be accomplished through remote work, and yes, through skill development, but you can get it through remote work.
Totally. Well, and I think people also forget, if you're in a field where remote work seems impossible, first of all,
Mm-hmm.
never say never because technology is unpredictable. But more importantly, if you're, just serving people in a physical capacity, you have a brick and mortar place, you work in food service or something that's just not remote possible, it will
Yeah.
still, we decentralize the economy from our urban environment. We're going to put commerce back into our small and mid-sized businesses. We're going to put investment back in those spaces. And that's part of the reason that this law was brought in Costa Rica, was to empower those smaller towns and to empower those rural areas. So that's still going to mean more bodies in your restaurant, or more bodies in your store, or at your, insert here, even the factories, the manufacturing places, it doesn't matter. And even more, entrepreneurship will begin to
Yeah.
rise in those areas, because if I can be remote, then I'm going to see the possibility of what I could do
Yeah.
myself. Being a remote employee myself before I went freelance taught me about
Mm-hmm.
freelance. It taught me how to self manage and all these other things that then made me realize, oh, I could be an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
value there, a lot of value that's yet to be
Well,
unpacked,
I
I
know
think.
this is a topic you're passionate about. I have a feeling that much like productivity, this probably won't be the last time that on any show that we do that this will come up. And I think
Right.
it kind of puts a real nice bow, at least around with the possibilities around this as our last topic for tonight's tripod live stream. So before we leave, though, I want to make sure to remind you, right? There's something you still got to do. Did you forget? You forgot. Subscribe. Subscribe to things, right? You got to do it, right? You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Chris wasn't here today, but I will tell you, Chris and I are working on a great new series that will be coming to this YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. I think you're going to love it. You're going to want to subscribe. And I'm working on a ton of new video type things related to digital and content marketing. So please subscribe to this channel. Hit the subscribe button below. There's a bell beside it. If you hit that bell, it'll notify you when we publish a new video. If you like this podcast, like it down below. And then also subscribe to the audio version. So the audio version, as I mentioned, the last episode we did, it was Kayla. So you'll get to hear her again, but we have a ton of great episodes on a ton of different topics. Every one of them is structured similarly. We talk about something from the world of marketing, something from the world of media, and then something from the ever popular world of Miscellaneous. So I want to very much thank Kayla for joining me today. I think you did a great job.
Sure.
I know you said you were nervous, but I had no doubt. No doubt in my
He
mind
wants to go live.
that you would do great. And before we leave,
Ooh.
I would be remiss if I did not allow you the opportunity. Please tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, totally. So, Kayla Knob, KaylaKnob.com.
I'll put it in the comments.
We'll spell it in the description below.
Sure.
Let's do it that way, so I
Dropped it in the
don't have
comments
to
for
spelling
you.
test this thing for you guys. It's Kayla Knob, not Nab. Don't spell it with two B's. Don't pronounce it with two B's. But yeah, I'm at Kayla Knob on Twitter. Find me on Twitter. Find me on LinkedIn. I love to spend time there. And you can follow me on Instagram, but I don't love Instagram.
Follow her on LinkedIn. And she just released
Yeah.
this baller guide on content. It's so great.
I'm
it's
very
not going to be the
excited.
last time that you hear about it or see it, because I loved it so much. I'm like, it's not even mine. It's not even Tricycles, but damn it. Let me help you get this thing out there, because it's so good. It's just so good. So if you're a business owner, a marketer out there, it's such a good guide. And again, it's Kayla, Kayla, Knob, Naab. And I did put the link. I put the link in the comments below. Please connect with her. And that's all I have. Do you have anything else, Kayla, before we end this very successful episode? You'll be able to find all the show notes for this show on tripodpodcast.com. You can also go there for all of the previous archival episodes. And of course, you can always go to Tricycle Creative to find out more about what we do.